It's so easy to read too much into a facial expression or an offhanded remark in the best of circumstances. But when hearing loss becomes an issue, all kinds of problems can come up. Audiologist Paul Ashbrook gets biblical with his explanation. Take a look.
To start out with, let's put it in some simple terms. First off, and I like to go to the Bible for this because this is always a great one. We were given 10 commandments.
Right.
And 4 of those 10 commandments are about our relationship with God.
Right.
The other 6 commandments are about our relationships with other people. And hearing loss negatively affects those relationships. So if you don't get your hearing corrected, you're having difficulty with every relationship you have, whether it's your spouse, whether it's family members, whether it's coworkers, whatever the case may be, whether you realize it or not, you are negatively affecting each one of those relationships. Some of the things that happen, and one that I always find interesting, is anger. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily the person that has hearing loss that has the anger. It's the other people that are trying to deal with this person. They see that they're not hearing what they said to them, or they say something totally against what they said. It didn't make sense. You know, it's like, so it's very frustrating for the person who has to deal with the hearing loss person. The person with hearing loss themselves is always the last one to know they have it. So for them, it's a slow, gradual process to know how bad the situation is. But eventually, that person with hearing loss is going to isolate themselves. Mm-hmm. They're going to stop going to this event, or stop going to church, or stop doing this, or stop doing that, because they know they have a hearing difficulty. And instead of going through that frustration themselves, they just choose not to go to those things. So they become less social. And that's not a good thing. That's going to affect every relationship.
And if you suspect somebody might have hearing loss, what's a nice way of going about it? I mean, it would seem like such an uncomfortable kind of situation to be like, you can't hear me anymore.
Honesty is the best policy in life, period. You know, if you feel like this person has some hearing difficulties, let them know. Say, hey, you know, I think you're having more hearing difficulties than you realize. And I'm seeing this, and this happen with you. And I really want you to get it checked, because it's affecting me and our relationship with each other. So honesty is always the best policy.
I would assume, too, that there's some serious consequences. I actually known some people that had some issues with just some telemarketers and not knowing exactly what they said, and getting into a situation where they purchased some things that they shouldn't have.
Right, because they're not understanding what's being said, and they just say yes and go on a lot of times. And people are very notorious for doing that. They'll just nod or yes, and they had no clue really what was said. And that's just kind of a trick that folks use to try to hide that they have the problem. But along with the isolation, certainly anger is a very big one that we mentioned. Even the person with hearing loss will get angry at others and say, if you would just talk louder, or if you would just quit mumbling and this and that. And it's really not that person who has the problem. It is the person with hearing loss that has the problem. And it just takes time for them to realize it, unfortunately. It's one of those crazy kind of situations that we have to deal with, unfortunately.
And when you actually go to the audiologist to get your hearing tested, it's not that complicated of a process. You know, it's actually nice to get it started. I recently had my hearing tested, and it was just nice to know that, okay, I'm fine.
Right. Very simple, very painless process to go through. We'll look in the ear, we'll test your hearing, and then we'll let you know exactly what you've got going on. And when you leave our office, you're going to have a whole booklet that's going to talk about hearing, hearing loss, hearing aids, what we recommend for you based on what you're telling us and the information that you're giving us. You're going to know exactly what you're looking at from a cost standpoint. We have it all broken down for the person, and they can take it with them. And if they need to talk more with a spouse or other family members, that's fine. Please, we want you to make a nice, informed decision here. So we're going to let the person know what they need.
And I like the idea, too, of follow-up care, too, and knowing that if there's any questions, you guys will be here.
Certainly, yeah. We have 3 offices across Southside, and we are always available. If somebody needs us, they can get in touch with us. I mean, I've gone out on a Friday evening or a Saturday evening and had to come to the office because somebody needed help and they were in a really tough bind and they couldn't wait until the next regular office hours. And I was nice enough to come in and help them out and make sure that they were going to be able to handle the function that they needed to go to. So we're here, and it's all about service. We just want to help people hear better. That's the key.
And if you have any questions, you can call Ashbrook Audiology and Hearing Aid Center at 877-610-4327. And they also have a website at ashbrookaudiology.com.